a president. And, you know, I'm talking like 4 people waving their hands. Like, it's got to stop.
In one of the worst moves in political history, Kamala Harris may have just ruined her entire campaign on national television. She decided to have an interview with Fox News, and it went exactly how you think it would. She got pressed on questions, she avoided the questions, and in the end, it ended with her team allegedly trying to cut the interview short.
You said repeatedly that the border was secure. When in your mind did it start becoming a crisis?
I think we've had a broken immigration system transcending, by the way, Donald Trump's administration even before. Let's all be honest about that. I have no pride.
Now, look, most people can agree, whether you're conservative or Democrat, liberal, whatever, Kamala Harris has always had a massive issue dealing with the illegal immigration problem. And at the very beginning of this interview, she was straight up asked, Kamala, do you know how many illegal immigrants entered our country under your administration? She totally kept dodging the question. She got asked again. She dodged the question. And essentially, she ended this entire topic by saying, look, I don't have any pride in how things are being done. And also, we don't have a perfect system. So again, at least Kamala did admit to that. But again, at the very beginning of this entire interview, it was going super bad for Kamala.
This strategy from Harris was a Google strategy. She wanted Fox viewers to start to Google some of the things she was saying, because some of the comments she was making in this interview are foreign to the Fox audience. For example, General Mark Milley saying Trump is a fascist to the core. That's barely been covered on Fox News. So she was able to get some of those talking points in. This was the most adversarial interview Kamala Harris has probably ever done. Instead of getting to debate Trump again, she got to debate Bret Baier. And a lot of viewers are going to come away saying, wow, she's willing to do that. That's a sign of toughness and strength.
Okay, in classic CNN fashion, everything about this interview was perfect. Everything was great. She meant to bring up these bad topics, yada, yada, yada. One thing I completely disagree with all of this really wasn't even a debate. Again, if you go back and watch the entire interview, Kamala played the card of, hey, don't cut me off, don't cut me off. This is an interview, not a debate. So again, this whole CNN rhetoric of like, oh, she's getting people to Google this and all, no one's buying it. And really, I'm trying to do my research on all of this. The only people that are coming away that Kamala did great on this interview right now is CNN as I make this video.
Let me ask you this. You told many interviewers that Joe Biden was on his game, that ran around circles on his staff. When did you first notice that President Biden's mental faculties appeared diminished?
Joe Biden, I have watched from the Oval Office to the Situation Room, and he has the judgment and the experience to do exactly what he has done in making very important decisions.
Now, when CNN says, oh, they're going to Google this, they're going to Google that, well, this is definitely going to be something that's Googled, because this is still one of the biggest contentions, even within the Democrat Party, of how did Kamala end up earning this nominee? Because, you know, when everything fell apart between Biden and Donald Trump, there was a very strange thing going on where all of a sudden Kamala shows up. She keeps getting asked, hey, is everything okay with Joe Biden? Did you know about Joe Biden's health? She's never fully answered the question, and this is the first time she's really been pressed on, when exactly did you know about Joe Biden's health? Like, did you lie to everybody? Were you keeping it a secret? And as you can see here, Kamala is obviously trying to save face, because if you guys are unaware, there's a lot of friction going on right now between Joe Biden and Kamala, because everything negative Kamala says ends up looking bad to Joe Biden. She is the vice president to the president, Joe Biden. She doesn't want to talk bad about him, but she also has no choice but to talk bad about him, because if she doesn't, she has absolutely zero chance of winning, because a lot of people want something new. So again, this was a very, very tough question for Kamala, and she had no choice but to be nice to Biden because she works for him. But at the end of the day, in other interviews, she's also been rather harsh towards Joe Biden.
Frankly, exhausted of Bret.
More than 70% of people tell the country is on the wrong track. They say the country is on the wrong track. If it's on the wrong track, that track follows 3.5 years of you being vice president and President Biden being president. That is what they're saying, 79% of them. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam
You
Vice
and I
President.
both know what I'm talking about. You and I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is that over the last decade,
But
people
you're the
have
lever of
become.
power.
But Listen, over the last decade, it is clear to me, and certainly the Republicans who are on stage with me, frankly, exhausted.
Now, if you didn't watch this interview, again, I suggest you go watch it. The producers of Fox must have known what the counter response was going to be for Kamala, and they were not going to allow for Kamala to filibuster and get away with what she wanted to say. Again, I don't think Fox was trying to pin Kamala into a corner and turn this into a smear campaign. These are like the questions everyone has, whether you're into Fox or not into Fox. I'm going to be transparent. I don't watch Fox. I'm not into all that. But what I will say is this. At the end of this sentence and this part of the interview, I can't finish all of it. Essentially what Kamala ended up saying, trying to be as nice as she can to Joe Biden, she says this will not be a continuation of Joe Biden's presidency. But again, the problem she has is that she is currently under the administration. So everything negative she says is bad towards Joe Biden. So again, Kamala, I think, was trying to be as nice as she could to Joe Biden. I don't think Fox was trying to pin her against Joe Biden, but they knew that Kamala has no choice but to be honest. Kamala was honest. She ended up looking super bad in all of this, discrediting herself, discrediting Joe Biden, and then giving herself all the glory and saying, look, we're going to continue and I'm going to make this a better America, but it's not going to be a continuation of the campaign I'm currently under.
There's a lot of people that look back at what you said in 2019 when you first ran for president. And there have been changes, and you've talked about some of them. When it comes to immigration, you supported allowing immigrants in the country illegally to apply for driver's license, to qualify for free tuition at universities, to be enrolled in free health care. Do you still support those things?
Listen, that was 5 years ago, and I'm very clear that I will follow the law. I have made that statement over and over again, and as Vice President of the United States, that's exactly what I've done, not to mention before.
If that's the case, you chose a running mate, Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, who signed those very things into state law. So do you support that?
We are very clear, and I am very clear, as is Tim Walz, that we must support and enforce federal law.
All right, and in conclusion, I suggest you guys go and watch the full interview. All of these clips or highlights I showed you are pretty much the meat and potatoes of this entire interview. You can see the demeanor on both sides here. Kamala, again, pressed on an issue that she gets asked about, and I'm actually going to side with Kamala here. She has the right to change her mind and position. It happens all the time, to include with Donald Trump. But she got called out and said, well, you changed your position, but you also have a vice president running partner who's currently in government who signed into something that you don't agree with. And she just says, well, we're going to follow the law. So you can see how, again, this interview was absolutely terrible, in my opinion, for her image. Do I think people are going to Google things like CNN said? Yes, I do. But let me know what you guys think about all of this. Did you watch the interview? Do you have a different opinion than I do? In my opinion, I think this was a very terrible move. And I also think this may have been preparation for her to go on Joe Rogan. I don't think she's going to go on Joe Rogan after this because I think Joe Rogan is going to be a million times harder. So anyway, let me know what you guys think.